perspectives in the Torah tradition on how you deal with heretics. For instance, the way that the major Torah rabbis of today say about people who are raised outside of Orthodox Judaism.
That's called a tinek shenishba. That's something different.
Let me just finish the.
That's not a heretic. That's a tinek shenishba.
Let me finish the point.
Okay.
That what 200 years ago type of people that may have been called heretics, that now they're regarded as being raised in captivity because they were raised outside of Torah Judaism. So the way that most Orthodox Torah rabbis regard, I'll put it on the chat if you want. You want to look at the chat?
I just want to see what this guy says. I didn't see this before. This must have been
regard them as the equivalent of raised in captivity. So in Talmudic discussions, people who are raised in captivity outside of Jewish life, then they re-enter Jewish life. They're not immediately held accountable for all the mitzvahs that they do not know.
Right. That I want to just say for the record out there that nobody gets the wrong impression of what I've said. If someone grows up and they're not religious, they're not from. Right. They grow up and they don't know what anything. They're sent to public school. That's not a heretic.
Yeah.
That's just someone who's ignorant of Judaism. And when they're called a tinek shenishba, they're called a child that was captured, but literally captured by non-Jews and raised as a non-Jew. They're not a category of a heretic, right? That's got nothing to do with it. Talking about a heretic is somebody grows up with Torah and starts perverting it. Somebody who perverts Torah and teaches it as something that it's not. That is a heretic.
Do you know anyone like that?
Yes. You're not a heretic, by the way, right? Because you espouse a lot of heresy.
I'll provoke you with.
But
I'll provoke you with.
You're an ignoramus.
I'm an ignoramus.
You're an ignoramus who's unfortunately taken upon himself and attached himself to people who espouse heresy, and that's the problem. That's why you need me to kick your ass back into line.
And that's why I'm so grateful for your presence here every week.
And that's why I get a heter that I get to bang black women in your bed.
Chas v'shalom.
I know, you have to do it first with them. Okay.
Chas v'shalom. It's a major sin to have sex outside of marriage.
We'll order two, we'll order two prostitutes like James Worthy. Did you remember this story? James Worthy on the Lakers, when he was on the Lakers, like in, I'll say circa 1990. He got busted in Houston before a game one night because he ordered two hookers, two chicks to come to his hotel room. So they sent two undercover cops. He didn't know when he called this hooker hotline that it was actually an undercover cop. He ordered two hookers, so two police cop chicks showed up and they arrested him.
I hate it when that happens. Like,
he was married too. Explain that one your way.
You're all excited. It's like, oh great, I'm getting two hookers. And they come over, and like you've been like working up a chub for hours. Like, oh man, I've got two hookers coming over. I'm really going to be able to let loose tonight, before the game. I'm going to be able to get rid of this tension, and then bam, you get arrested, and it's just like can totally throw off your whole game.
I know. Can you imagine his wife hearing that one on the news?
Or you get arrested for rape or charged with rape. Often
that was Kobe.
Often wives are just not as understanding of these things as they should be.
Yeah.
I wonder what kind of husband and father Moshe was. Because like he was busy like looking after the Jews and whipping these ex-slaves into shape, and just like I wonder if he had time to go to his kids' like Little League games.
I got a feeling I didn't do Little League in the desert, but that's just the theory.
So to speak.
But you could say he didn't have time to learn with his own kids because he was busy teaching 2.5 million people Torah. When did he have time to teach Eliezer? When did he have time to teach Eliezer? So Eliezer probably grew up and he was denied a father to teach him, right? And then what would happen? Eliezer would be thrown to the rabbis of that generation to learn from them. So he would outsource his responsibility to the other rabbis. Now, let me tell you how that works, because I used to be a teacher in a cheder, a substitute teacher, right? In my classroom, all of the boys, and I kid you not, their fathers were rabbis. All of them, their fathers were rabbis. But they never saw their fathers, right? Because their fathers, when they came home from yeshiva, were all at night going out and helping people. As community leaders, schlepping geld, what do you call
charity?
Trying to get collections from people, getting donors, and teaching other people Torah. They never had time for their own sons. They said, hey, they sent their kids to yeshiva.
Go to Rabbi Rabbs. He's the father. He's your father.
I want to tell you something. The wildest animals I've ever been in
Rabbi's kids.
were the rabbi's kids. These 10 kids got together, and they were just like, it was a circus. And they were just the most non-respectful, non-behaved kids I've ever been around.
What sort of names would they call you?
What they call me? It wasn't what they called me, it's what they threw at me that bothered me.
Maybe you need to give them more hugs.
Oh, yeah. So
Did you hug them?
No.
Did you tell them how much you cared about them?
No.
Maybe you needed to open your heart and show them love. Did you dress up as Father Christmas and have them sit on your lap and ask them what they wanted for Christmas?
You should have been there. And that's all I got to say. So I know how this goes, right? Okay, go on.
What about the poor Vilna Gaon? He was studying Torah like 16, 18 hours a day. Wonder what kind of husband and father he was.
I don't want to say Lashon Hara against any of these people, right? I'm just telling you what I observed, right? What's going on here? What is it? Rabbs, would you say the nature of Judaism among the people is not of a consolidated nature?
There is no single human top official. That's correct. Judaism is not
Yeah, is your name
hierarchical.
Rabbs? He's asking me. We don't know if it's a he or a she, but they have good grammar, so it's probably a he, right? They're asking me. Would you say that the nature of Judaism among the people is not a consolidated nature of Judaism among the people?
See, this question is going to take you forever.
There is no single human top official. What we have today is a conglomerate, if you will, of Torah authorities. There are several, and
Rabbs and I are just two.
It's a he. Thank you. And there is not one official leader of the entire Jewish people today. There are several. There's a conglomerate. But you want to know something? That's pretty much the way it's been for a long time, because I'll tell you what. There was a Sanhedrin in the old days, and they had 70, and at one point I think it was 120, and there's not like necessarily one rabbi who's like, it's all about me. So we don't have like a pope in Judaism, right? Instead we have a conglomeration, a big congress, if you will, of 120 rabbis, the biggest learners, and they get together, and they are the leaders of Judaism, and they decide Torah issues together.
Well, the Jewish people look for leadership to the person who owns the domain name moralleader.com.
That's true. I would go to Levi before I go anywhere else.
Yeah, so if you go to my website, you'll see your moral leader.
If I want a heter to bang 2 black women, I'm going to this guy.
I'm pretty much, in theory, there's no single human top official, but in practice, I really am the single human top official for Judaism.
Okay.
In the 21st century.
Let's go to the next thing.
So I love the description of what makes a good judge, and there's nothing in talking about Exodus chapter 18 verses 21, there's nothing about compassion or being loving in this list of qualifications for judges. What they do have to love is they have to love truth. They don't have to be compassionate. It's not a job of a judge to be compassionate. It's the job of a judge to rule justly.
Well, you know what the Talmud says about judges? You treat both people, both litigants coming in, the plaintiff and the defendant, as they're both liars. You don't believe anybody. You don't know anything, and you don't take any sides, right? They're both liars to you. But when they leave, after you've already paskined halacha, right? Once they are, you know what I'm saying? Then the Torah says you have to treat them both like they're innocent. You have to have compassion on them both. After that you pasak. You already said this one's guilty or this one's innocent, and then you just treat everybody like they're good people, and then you say goodbye.
But you can't give everybody the same amount of compassion, or it's not really compassion. Compassion, by definition, is handed out unequally. Some people deserve more compassion than others.
No, it doesn't mean compassion is probably not the right word. It's not translated correctly.
No, I'm not
just saying.
I'm not rebutting your point. I'm
right.
going on with a different point. Not everything I say is to put you down. Sometimes I just say things.
Oh, I see how it is.
I know, like, it often feels like everything Levi is saying, it's like to put me down or to try to make me look bad or to try to like impress the ladies.